even worse in terms of what's piling up. This is what we've seen here over the past 24 hours, and a lot of this, especially some of these places with the bigger totals, fell in just a short period of time, like a couple of hours, and that's what has caused our biggest challenges. So to the north and south and west of Houston, we've had spots getting more than 3 to 5 inches of rain. The same thing has happened in patches here across Louisiana, and now in Mississippi, including around the Jackson area and just south of there, especially getting into some really heavy rain and rainfall rates. The moisture is coming in here, some of it pumping in from the Gulf of Mexico. This moisture plume extends back to the Pacific. So we've got this influx of moisture, and for the most part, things are moving very slowly. So we are going to see this risk of heavy rain continuing throughout the day today. We've got the radar overlaid on top of where the risk for flash flooding is highest today. It's likely from Louisiana up into Mississippi. That's the background color in yellow. I know there's a lot going on here. But then you see the radar over top of it, and where you see these bright reds on the radar, and the oranges too, those are the biggest rainfall rates, which are driving the flash flood concerns. And we do have a number of flash flood warnings still in effect at this hour. This is a threat that we'll be monitoring here through the next several hours. So in Houston, the rain has lightened up a little bit here in downtown, but you go south and just to the west of Freeport, flash flood warning there. Beaumont nearby, flash flood warning just to the south of you, and Lake Charles and parts of I-10 are under flash flood warnings that continue here. Even though like Lake Charles, some of the heaviest of rain is through, it's still raining, and it takes some time for those floodwaters to recede. Let's take a closer look at this one, which includes parts of Acadia, Lafayette, and St. Landry Parish. It includes communities like Crowley, Jennings, and Rain. This goes until 12:30 local time. Big rain coming in, and you notice that it's moving or advecting coming in from south to north, and not a lot of quick movement to the east. That's key actually here, and that drives that flash flooding concern. Large area under flash flood warnings actually, with the risk of 3-inch totals here in an hour, which is what can drive that risk of flash flooding. Now, days of rain have been fueling widespread flood threats in the southern plains, and although the heaviest of the rain is past in Houston, Texas, ongoing showers are keeping flood alerts active, and that's where we find our national correspondent, Justin Michaels. And Justin, I mean, we had inches of rain overnight. Been watching the scenes behind you there at the park. Interestingly, that's the park I was at for Hurricane Harvey, and I saw it fill up from a hurricane, and you saw that as well.
Absolutely, Jen. You remember, this is the Bayou City. There are 10 bayous flowing through and around Houston, Texas. Their entire...
The Northeast. Here we go looking at Cincinnati, where our temperatures are going up to 53 degrees. It's mild this morning. We're in the 40s. And look, I mean, starting the day in the 20s is pretty typical for us in January, but we are not doing that this week. In fact, we finish every day in the 40s or 50s with rain in the forecast and zero snow in sight. It's just a very sort of murky atmosphere out there. The temperature close to the dew point, so you've got a lot of fog along with the rainfall. Chicago, that's what we're dealing with right now. We've got Peoria at 35 degrees with rain falling, and if it's not raining, it's going to be foggy and misty. That's the case all the way up to lower Michigan. I mean, no sun to be found with these mild temperatures, that's for sure. We go over into the Northeast, and same thing. See a lot of cloudy conditions out there. Albany getting some rain right now, temps at 35 degrees. The mild weather in Boston too, 34. I mean, relatively speaking, this is warmer than we should be on a January morning, and it's meaning that we have rain and not snow. The mild air, all driven by this big ridge and high pressure. And overall, just the fact that the Arctic air has retreated, and we just don't have any across the country, really. So as these disturbances move in, it is going to interact with the warmer temperatures and bring us more rain than we will snow. Now, there'll be deal with the wintry mix, especially the farther north you go, like up into Maine. But overall, it's a pretty wet and rainy forecast coming our way through the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Kentucky Valley, and into the Northeast. So Wednesday, we bring the rain out, but not to say you're going to clear out. There's still going to be fog, and there's still going to be some mist, but it heads into the Northeast as we get into Thursday, Alex.
All right, a lot of wet.
You know, and in general, El Nino often means wetter across the West. It doesn't necessarily mean cold or warm for us here, and that's a problem if we don't get the cold for the mountains in the West here. It's actually really important to build up the snowpack so we have the water supply in the summer. So, you know, yes, rain is beneficial, and we're getting some of that, and we see it right now across Washington, western Washington, and a little bit coming in to the Bay Area and parts of Northern California. We do have a pretty active pattern coming our way as we see these storms line lined up over the Pacific Ocean. At the moment, it's raining with 43 degrees in Seattle. Not as cold as the weather that we had last week, where we take you down into the Bay Area. Temperatures running in the 50s, and we've got some rain showers there as well. As we watch this forecast through Sunday, we see the moisture kind of pointed more from Washington, Oregon, maybe Northern California. It is an atmospheric river. It's a Category 2, so it's not the strongest. And in general, these are beneficial. They bring in the moisture. They don't usually bring tremendous problems. But watch, though, as we get through the weekend, again, watching those snow levels, they're pretty high into next week. Another system comes in, the snow levels even higher. So we're not going to get a lot in the snowpack, Alex, from these series of storms.
All right. Well, we are dealing with the wet weather there.
There's not flooding right here, but flooding is sometimes hard to find. But then when you encounter it, it's very impactful.
Exactly. So we got to be mindful of that because there are a slew of flood warnings that are in place. The areas is kind of hard to see, but the areas that are highlighted in the green, those are all flash flood warnings right now. And you can see the shield of rain that is really taking over this part of the country.
I know, of course, your eyes go to that lightning, which is going to drive some of the biggest rainfall rates, which can drive flash flooding. But then behind it, you end up with this stratiform rain that's actually pretty heavy.
Yeah, I mean, right now, as you work your way north of Houston up towards the Huntsville area, travel along 45, that's going to be not a fun one. You know, who likes driving in the rain that's just driving?
Yeah.
It's just really hard. And so that's what we're facing there in and around the Houston metro and points off to the east.
Yeah, I literally think nobody, we should do that as a poll question, but nobody likes driving in the rain. It is very stressful. It's dangerous. We know accident rates go up. And, you know, especially where you have some of this blinding rain, like where we have the flash flood warnings and where you see the bright reds and oranges on the radar, that's the kind of rain where you're looking for a wiper speed that can clear your windshield, and it just doesn't exist.
Here's one of the warnings right now as we get into Louisiana for parts of Point Coupe as well as West Feliciana parishes. That's until 10:30. That's where we've got some of these areas where maybe 2.5 inches of rain and that has fallen, with another additional couple more could add to that. So yeah, that's the zone where we certainly have to watch for things to add up. Also in and around Jackson, which is right now under a flash flood warning there in Mississippi.
Yeah, this includes the cities of Clinton and Pearl as well, and I-20. And I mean, you can see you're in sort of that really heavy rain in Jackson, but on either side of town, you're also in heavy rain, even if you're not under a flash flood warning.
You can't. It's really in place, and we'll get it. North and east from there, parts of Tennessee, getting into Alabama, North Georgia. Some heavy rain is on tap. Flooding a real risk. We're already seeing that. More areas, though, will be getting involved in that over the next 24 to 36 hours. So
there's that lightning out there and that leading edge of this whole batch of rain. Let's go over to Dr. Greg Postel for more on if we could see severe weather out of this, like damaging winds and maybe
guys, and don't get up over their banks any further and start to cause problems. Jen, Alex,
good update. Good update there, Justin. Here, it's impressive, actually, that bayou system and how it's very expansive too. Houston is a sprawling metro area.
Tough few days, a few weeks, I should say, around Houston. They just had the ice issues. Now we got to deal with flooding.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
But this warm air, you saw the 62 degrees right now in Houston. This warm air is bringing problems. So the system that's going to set up over parts of the central and eastern states for the weekend is going to be bringing us rain and, well, actually more mild conditions. In the south, we're going to have heavy downpours that will race across the region with heightened chances for strong to severe storms.
Now, as you head north, well, we could be seeing maybe a few flakes in the mix. A couple of inches could coat parts of the northeast, including parts of that 95 corridor, maybe getting involved in a little bit more wintry weather before it's all said and done.
Yes. All right. So let's take a look at how this is going to play out for you. Places like Atlanta, warmer temperatures, yes, practically 67 degrees, but storms come in on Saturday.
Yeah, and some of those storms we'll have to watch. Chance for some of those to be a little frisky. A severe weather risk already in play for Saturday. We're going to have to watch that pretty closely here, kicking off the weekend.
And then still, I mean, look at Saturday night, still mild. Temps not dropping. It's been so cold for so many, but that's gone for now. I mean, the extended forecast is mild.
Exactly. So, yeah, that cold, could that be it that we just dealt with?
Could we have had a 10-day winter? This is what I'm asking. This is what I'm asking.
We shall see. But for now, definite warmth taking over.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to help to fuel some of these thunderstorms that we see. This is Saturday's forecast. You can see a good portion of western Georgia into Alabama. It's not a huge area, but a zone nonetheless where we'll have to watch those thunderstorms closely.
Yeah. I mean, look, lightning is going to be disrupting outdoor events. Not that there's a lot this time of year, but there's some. And, sports are trying to get underway in the south. You got tryouts, people out there practicing. You're going to have to contend with rain and lightning, which could drive you inside.
Yeah, so there you have it. A lot of green on this map. This is Saturday morning from Nashville back to Little Rock. We're dealing with that rain adding up out there. And this is something that we'll see continuing as we work our way through our Saturday late morning and into the afternoon. East Texas, Louisiana, those areas are looking drier for the weekend. So you get a bit of a break, but we do usher in the opportunity for some more rain that could add up later on. But it's east now that we're going to be watching the rain pile up.
Everything's going to get soggy. Thinking about places like in Tennessee and even North Carolina, we're just so frozen, right? And now we're going to bring rain over top of that. So it'll be some showers in the Bay Area. More rain coming our way, though, as we get you into the next, I would say, week up and down the West Coast here. A few showers down towards SoCal, but really it's more Central California up into the northern part of the state and then up into, all the way to Washington. That system's the reason why. But look at what else is hanging out here in the Pacific. We got a couple of storms lined up, another atmospheric river set up. This is going to be a Category 2 with a lot of the moisture pointed at Oregon and Northern California. That's where some of the biggest rainfall totals will be, although it spreads out and we see some bigger totals all the way up into western Washington as well. The mountains kind of squeezing out the moisture from the atmosphere, so we could get more than 5 to 8 inches of rain in a couple of spots, like up near the Olympics and then down the coast again into Northern California. So you can see what comes in today and tomorrow, and then there's a break, and then by later on Thursday and then Friday, here comes the other system. Again, focused Washington, Oregon, Northern California. Nothing down in the southern part of the state, not much in the Sierra, that's all part of the conversation right now, which is, look, we've had rain, but we haven't had as much snow as we need to have, Alex, and so we're still running a snow drought, actually.
Yeah, we definitely could use being outside. It's fine if we're all inside, right? But when you have to be in it.
Always true. Look, there's no bad weather, just bad gear. You got to dress for the weather.
That's a good way to.
For all the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. And the Weather Channel, of course, has you covered from coast to coast.
Yeah, we got weather happening here in those areas here from the West Coast. We'll find it in the east as well. But how about in between as flooding? Always a concern in a spot like Houston. And you see folks kind of driving and navigating around some of the wet weather here, using to measure some of the high water on the roads. You can see some of those markers as well.
Yeah.
The waters have been creeping up here in and around the Houston metro and other areas in Louisiana.
I mean, the water isn't getting that high, but the fact is that it could,
right.
Because why would you have a marker that high if it didn't?
There are some cities in the country that are really susceptible to flooding. Of course, Charleston is. It feels like Houston is one of those as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we've been seeing it firsthand this morning. So we'll bring you more updates there. Also, rain just so widespread all the way up into today. We have a lot of clouds. We have a lot of rain. This is the rain that we've seen over the past 24 hours. Especially hard hit. It's been eastern Texas and Louisiana. Now Mississippi coming into the game as well. Some of the heaviest totals have come in splotches. And, you see that in the bright orange. And that's where we've had more than 5 inches of rainfall. Even in the Houston area, though, just about 3 inches of rain has caused issues because a lot of it came in a short window, like an hour. And that's what almost always drives flash flooding, is when you get heavy rainfall rates. So right now, let's take a look at Houston. We're still in rain, but it's lifting out. We're almost done with some of the heaviest of stuff. Maybe some mist will stick around here, but we'll get a break for a little bit. Huntsville and north of there, I-45 is still pretty wet, with some of those yellows showing up on the radar indicating some heavy rainfall. We do have flash flood warnings. All these boxes indicate flash flood warnings, and this area that's been outlined here is where we could see rain totals in an hour 3 inches or more. Again, those rates, that's what drives the flash flooding risk. It's possible we get more than 6 inches of rain possible, and that's really where I think we'll see some of the bigger problems. So many flash flood warnings. Just south of Alexandria, traveling I-10, all along it, there's a flash flood warning. And even though the heaviest of rain is really on the leading edge, we're not drying out behind that. And this rain is advecting, coming up from south to north. And so it's just, still overspreading areas that got this big deluge of rain just hours ago. Now, right now in Amite and Wilkinson counties and Point Coupe and West Feliciana. We do have a flash flood warning, some bigger totals coming in here, and this is a considerable threat. And again, it's still raining, even though maybe you notice the biggest radar echoes or the brightest echoes are just to the east. Still a considerable threat because heavy rain is still falling. Now, damaging winds are possible, and maybe even a few isolated tornadoes. We've got to watch out for that on the leading edge of all of this. Dr. Greg Postel has been following it. We'll make sure to give you an update on this. But watching some of these cells kind of out ahead of the main line, those are the ones that sometimes can take on a little, potential rotation. But the rain by far is the most widespread threat that everyone is dealing with here. Jackson, Mississippi, right now under a flash flood warning with heavy rain falling, and you can see more to come behind this, Greg.
Well, Jan, you're right about that.
Here it comes. All right, Cincinnati, we have rain for you. Temps in the 50s today, and more rain tonight, and we're only dropping into the upper 40s. Back to the 50s tomorrow, and more rain, and actually sticks around into at least the first part of Thursday night. It's so cloudy and misty and just kind of murky out there for so many. Even where it's not raining, like in St. Louis, we've got fog. Temps are running in the 40s. Des Moines, we've got fog, and there's even spots north of there where you've been dealing with a little bit of freezing fog earlier today, where temperatures were right at 32, the dew point about the same, and so that can bring its own challenges. It's cloudy everywhere here in the Northeast as well. Albany sitting at 35 degrees, Williamsport 39 degrees. No sun out there to enjoy that more mild air, relatively speaking. It's just cloudy, and there will be rain. This big ridge of high pressure, the reason why there's just honestly no Arctic air anywhere to be found across the country, but this ridge is driving temperatures even higher. So when we get these disturbances to roll in and along, and which we'll see, it's going to be mainly rain. The chance for snow extends into northern Maine, and that's about it. Warm air stays in place. It's going to keep that fog around. It's going to keep, of course, the chance for rain around as well. So tonight we see the rain move east. Then we get another surge of moisture, and that disturbance comes in. This is tomorrow afternoon, bringing rain to St. Louis, rain to Davenport, Peoria. We will get some rain. Rockford and Rochelle will get some rain here as well. And then getting into your Friday, you can see it's all lifting up. And where's the warm or the wintry weather? Just in northern parts of Maine, there's a mix. That's it. I mean, Alpena, even then you'll change over to all rainfall. It's such a mild pattern that continues. And, guys, look, I'm looking at the extended forecast, and there's some little blips of maybe, some near average,
right,
but there's no Arctic cold in sight.
Yeah.
Begs the question, is winter over? We're going to be talking about that soon.
In the coming days, yep.
You're going to want to tune back in because we're going to have a really good conversation about that and what may be on the horizon.
That's a big question for January 24th.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that we're even asking this right now is wild, right? Yeah. We still have 2 months to go. In winter, at least.
Yep.
Well, we'll see. Well, snow and the rain, that looks to return to parts.
I expected it to be neck and neck, and it's not.
Yeah. I think you guys' side is winning. The mild and rainy.
That's as it should be.
It should be. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah. It's too hard.
I know. He wants this perfect situation. I think he wants to vote for the warm, but he can't let himself because he's like a cold weather guy.
I can't do it. Being wet, just think about being wet and soggy. Remember, up. That's my thing. You can always bundle up.
Well,
think about this.
And stay dry.
We were all out in sub-freezing temperatures.
It's awful.
I'm just thinking about my week at Steamboat in Colorado, where it was minus 16 when I went out on
the actual air temperature.
Tuesday morning. Yes.
Not wind.
No, not wind chill. Just temperature.
Yes.
And I wasn't cold.
I rest my case.
Or when it's raining, you can put on, like, what did they call? Oh, that's right, jackets.
Oh, but no. There's a big.
This is why this is the question, because it's been having us talking for the past couple of days.
Well, all I know is it's 2-1.
That is true. I am losing. Well, check out some of the changes to the forecast
and that's really important because the snowpack provides about a third of the rest of the year water supply. And so the fact that we're running below average with snowpack is concerning. You also think about when do you build up your snowpack in California? Well, the water season in general, the rainy season is pretty short. You got December, January, February, March, and also usually the December, January, maybe February storms are the colder ones. And, we're getting through January. We're running at about 30% of the average snowpack for the season. So overall, this is not necessarily a good place to be. Moisture-wise, we've been doing okay. We've been getting the systems that come in like we have right now, bringing in the rainfall. It's just that they haven't brought a lot of snow. They've just been so mild. Case in point, we've got some snow out there in the northern Cascades here, pretty high up at elevation. Temps in Seattle running in the 40s. And we did just have a cold snap. I know we were flirting with the snow and ice from Seattle down through Portland and Oregon, but that was only one system in, of course, the whole season. And we need more like that, especially in the mountains. Right now, snow levels so high that we don't even have any advisories going on for you in the Sierra. Now, rainfall coming in with our first system. You see that today, and then another one comes in over the weekend, and that is going to bring some heavy rainfall along the coast. There will be some snow, but again, up at higher elevations. Sierra, we're talking probably like on average about 6,000 feet. We see this, again, system today come in, and then into the weekend, our next system comes in. There comes Friday. This brings a lot more moisture, and it will add up the rainfall, and we'll see inches of rain, especially along the coast here, maybe 3 to 5 inches of rainfall, Alex, which of course we'll have to monitor that for any flooding concerns.
Absolutely. Meanwhile,
is at the moment causing ponding of water on the roadways and the concern for flash flooding. I mean, there's a whole zone here from southern Louisiana right up into Mississippi. That's it's continuous.
Exactly, and that becomes very problematic, right? The continuous rainfall, moderate to heavy rainfall that we're seeing coming over these areas, and you do notice it's starting to push a bit farther to the north. So heads up now, northern parts of Mississippi and getting into Tennessee. Some of this heavy rain coming into your neck of the woods.
Houston, we're in a break. Whew, boy, feels good. You kind of saw that in the picture. You can see it right there on the screen right now, where we're finally seeing the skies brighten up a little bit. Still cloudy and still rain in the vicinity, but at the moment getting a break.
Yeah, the heaviest stuff away from us at this point. And even here, we saw the shot there from Charles Peak, who's in close to Lake Charles in these areas here, where, yes, there's some rain, but certainly the heaviest of the rain is not in place, but we still have a number of flash flood warnings. So the damage has already been done from the recent rains that have come in over the last several hours.
I mean, by far, Baton Rouge is one of the worst cases right now with the heavy rainfall. We should take that camera again if we can, just to show you what heavy rain, when you see reds on the radar, what it looks like. I mean, you can't see anything. Visibility is just so reduced.
Drops down. We've got more rain pushing north out along 55 here in the state of Mississippi as well. Okay,
so Jackson, east of you now is where the heaviest of rain is, although we've had, inches of rain in that area. It extends down I-55 towards Brookhaven, where we've got a considerable threat for flash flooding.
How about this? Between 3 and 8 inches has fallen. That's a lot. So, yeah, you got that kind of rain falling, you're going to run into some problems. So we got to be mindful of that with additional inches of rain to come.
Now, we have flash flood warnings, but let's take a look to see if we could have severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings. What's your outlook on that, Greg?
We're watching it. The environment is somewhat...
A system will set up over parts of the central and eastern states this weekend. For the south, it means heavy downpours will race across the region with heightened chances for strong to severe storms. But as you head north, we could see a few flakes in the mix. I'll show you where. A couple of inches could maybe coat parts of the northeast, including along the I-95 corridor. But you got to go north, and I'll show you that. First up, I mean, look, we've got New Baltimore, New York, right along the Hudson River, just south of the Capital District there in Albany. I showed you Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta, we've got rain today, rain tomorrow, and then we get into the weekend, and we could see thunderstorms. That comes in on Saturday with temperatures in the upper 60s. That's going to be one to watch here for outdoor plans, mainly because of the lightning threat. And then Saturday night, we keep the chance for showers, then we do clear out by Sunday. Now, we've got that chance of rain mostly everywhere. There's a couple of spots where by the end, perhaps we work in a little bit of cooler air, mountains high up there in West Virginia, western North Carolina, and the same thing in the Northeast. But you're going to have to go pretty far north to really get into any snowfall. So here we go with the wet side of things, which is in the south. That could be severe. Alabama into Georgia, Montgomery, Birmingham, Auburn. We are in that mix for that chance of storms. Atlanta includes you as well. This forecast goes from Friday into Saturday with that chance of rain, again, with that possibility of some severe weather. A resurge of moisture comes in on Saturday, and that's really the area that we got to keep an eye on. The heavy rainfall rates, that chance of storms, that there may be some strong gusty winds coming down, and all of that rain actually shifts into the Carolinas. We'll see Greenville, we'll see Charlotte, the chance of rain for you getting into the second half of the weekend. ramping up. And then by the end of the weekend, well, we dry out. Rainfall amounts are going to be about 1 to 2 inches here, mostly spread from Louisiana through Mississippi. Jackson, we just picked up nearly 3 inches of rain, short period of time, but we're going to get another chance coming in with another few inches. We're still running pretty far behind in the rainfall bucket in a lot of spots in the south with that drought. So, you know, in general, this is fairly good news. That was one model forecast. This is the other model forecast. It's a little bit different on exact placement, but both showing some signs of some heavier rainfall. Then to the northeast here, I want to show you how this plays out, where your forecast lifts up the rain, but then we get a little bit of snow working in, and maybe New Baltimore, Albany, we get that chance to start as snow before we finish probably with some rain. Alex.
All right.
Coming next, we do have some rain chances. There's a little bit moving through the Bay Area. You know, today, I would say this makes it look wetter than it's going to be. It's pretty scattered in nature out there right now, but we've got a couple of systems lined up, and this bigger one over the Pacific, as this swings in over the weekend, that's going to be an atmospheric river that really brings in a lot more moisture. So we'll see that as we get into the weekend time frame. Watching Washington, Oregon, especially coastal areas, that's where we end up with some of the biggest totals. Easily, we could see 3 to 5 inches of rain. You see in yellow, those are the spots you got to watch, even though, you know, the snow levels are going to be pretty high. So getting up into the Cascades will be pretty wet, and then you get up into the snow, and that could be heavy at times, but it's going to be high up at elevation. All right, so today, again, some showers. There'll be some snow showers actually sliding through parts of the Intermountain West, so in and around Salt Lake City, mountains in Colorado, to get a little snow out of this, though not Denver, but you'll get some into the mountain spots. Then we focus in on the mountain, the western locations here, the Northwest, for the weekend, Alex.
Got to watch those areas.
Morning hours to get you through and ready the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. The Weather Channel, of course, as you covered from coast to coast, from north to south, from Mexico to Canada.
To east to the west. You got it. We got you covered, right? And unfortunately for some of us, we're dealing with flooding. That's showing up in parts of Louisiana. Check it out there. That water should not be there. And we've been watching our storm tracker, Charles Peak. He's been rolling around there in and across parts of Louisiana, around the Lake Charles area. We've been seeing some of the wet streets out there as well, and some of the flooding that we've seen also. So it's adding up. It's a soggy morning across the parts of the lower Mississippi Valley.
Soggy and foggy. Those two go together, don't they?
Yes.
And they rhyme.
Mm-hmm. It is so foggy everywhere. You know, we just shared some pictures from Allentown, Pennsylvania with fog, Baton Rouge, rain and fog, Chicago fog, St. Louis fog, Minneapolis fog. Who's not foggy? Raise your hand.
Yeah,
no
right?
hands go up.
Maybe
I have
parts of the
brain
West
fog,
Coast.
so I can't.
Yeah, it's a mess out there.
Yeah, it really is. So we're going to certainly focus in on that. Issues, of course, with the rain, wide-reaching, and that's in today.
I do want to show you just how much rain you had in southeast Texas, including Houston and up towards Huntsville. Like Charles, of course, you saw some of those scenes from our Charles Peak where we've got flooding. We've had big rain on the order of 3 to 5 inches in a lot of splotches here across the whole southeast. So, you know, not everyone got 5 inches of rain, but there was some decently sized areas that did. I mean, look at this stretch from Louisiana into Mississippi and just south of Jackson, 3 to 8 inches of rain has fallen in that area. So that's in a zone where the heaviest of rain is still falling that is likely to see flash flooding here. We've got the outlook for flooding in the background of what's happening right now on the radar. You can also see as this rain moves up through northern Mississippi and into northern Alabama, we've got the possible flash flooding concerns there as well, even up into Tennessee where the rain isn't as heavy, but you know, the ground has been frozen. We have the snowpack. Everything is kind of happening at once. You get the melting, you get the rain to come in, you get the ground thawing, and that can really create some quick runoff and a muddy mess up there for sure. 3 inches of rain in an hour is what's possible in some of these areas under flash flood warnings, especially along the leading edge of this. So the concern is it could be even heavier, and that can quickly lead to some flash flooding. We got a lot of flash flood warnings that are up, and you know, look, these have gone up earlier when the rainfall was heavier, but we haven't dried out just yet, and it takes time for the floodwaters to recede. So still concerns across this area, even if the rain isn't falling as heavily as it was. Watching here in a couple of parishes, including Evangeline Parish, including cities like Oakdale, considerable threat. The flood warning, flash flood warning warning here goes through 11 o'clock. We've got areas right along I-55, including parts of Copiah, Jefferson, and Lincoln counties get observed flash flooding with a considerable threat for it to continue. Still in the steady rainfall there. Again, parts of I-55 included in that. And then we jump up to Jackson, where we are still under a flash flood warning. This goes until 12:15 local time. It includes not just Jackson, but also Clinton and Pearl. We've had inches of rain. Officially at the airport, we had close to 3 inches of rain. Pretty wet day for us here in Jackson. That was a record rainfall for the date, maybe not so surprisingly. And it continues. So as we look at the forecast and we think about what's going to happen today, we're under flood watches. These go till tomorrow across most of this area, including up into Memphis and including spots like Birmingham and Atlanta, where the rain really has not been that heavy yet, but it's going to come in. The other concern is that we may get some severe weather, and there's even a chance for tornadoes. So that's where Greg Postel picks it up. And you know, Greg, what are you seeing right now in the trends on the radar? We're just stuck in it. We're not going to see the sun. That's the thing, is you're not going to see the sun for days. Cincinnati, the rest of the week, no chance of it. We've got rain or clouds. A lot of rain. If it's not raining, it's probably going to be foggy. Temperatures are going to be up. Dew points are up. It's kind of how you are right now. What you see is what you kind of get. Actually, let me go back for a second. I went through that too fast. I just wanted to show you how far north the rain is lifting. Chicago, there's not even a chance that you're going to get any icy weather out there. It's all rain. Temps are in the upper 30s. Same thing is happening all the way up into the thumb of Michigan. We've got rain. We've got rain into Buffalo. Temperatures 38 degrees. Rain for you around Williamsport, 39 degrees. Pittsburgh, it's been raining. Punxsutawney, you guys are getting ready for Groundhog Day next week here. And I know it looks beautiful, Gobbler's Knob, with a coating of snow, but the rain and the fog is kind of eating away at that right now. And the temperatures aren't going to help either. Big ridge of high pressure means that we've got warm air, temperatures running about 10 to 20 degrees above average, especially across the eastern half of the country. But the whole nation, and even up into Canada, is actually running above average. But that's where kind of the core of the above average temperatures are. And when you see these disturbances roll in, when you have these above average readings, for the most part, it's going to mean rain. That's how far we are above average. So warm air in place, some snow perhaps staying up there to the north in Maine. That's one spot, northern Maine, that has been holding on to the cold. You're the only ones that seem to be able to keep that cold air. Everyone else, we've got the showers. Now, Thursday's forecast brings that next wave that comes in, that upper level energy. St. Louis, it'll be more rain for you coming in. Chicago, yes, rain. Maybe on the northern edge, there's a little bit of a wintry mix, but it's pretty far north, and it's not a lot, to be quite honest, here. And then, well, we get a break, but we're still cloudy, and we're just waiting for the next system to come in with the warm air. No cold in sight.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it, guys.
Did we use it all up?
It's winter done.
I mean, really?
January's not even over yet.
Which is just crazy to think about. So you would think, okay, we still a couple of months left. We got to get in a shot of Arctic air.
I did just look at the temperatures in Alaska. It's minus 50 right now in some parts there. So there is some cold air, but it's a far away from the lower 48. So no threat, certainly not immediately.
Well, we shall see. Snow, rain looking to return to.
Of course, it hasn't been that cold, which is part of this problem. So this shows us the snowpack. What you got to know about this graph is that we're the blue line. We're running below average when it comes to snowpack. And we get about a third of our year's water from the Sierra snowpack. So this is a concern when you don't add it up. Here is a look at where we are right now. Yes, we got a little snow showing up in blue out there, but it's not a lot. And it's really, there's none happening in the Sierra at the moment. And if there is, it's too high up. It's just very high elevation. So this is a warmer system. We're going to get a little moisture today, though, coming in, and rain is still good. It's not that we don't want the rain. We do, because we still need that as getting this, in our part of the water year. This is our rainy season. And you also don't want too much at once. We're picky, aren't we, when it comes to the precip? We want it to snow, and then we want to get not too much rainfall at once. And, we want a little break in between. Sometimes it's hard for it to pan out that way. We do get some rain today. We do get some mountain snow, again, mainly up at elevation. And then we see what's happening getting into the weekend. Next system comes in Friday in through the rest of the weekend. This one, an atmospheric river, which will bring a decent amount of moisture. We will see, I think, especially coastal Washington, Oregon, Northern California, California. That's where it's pointed and where we end up with inches of rain, 3 to 5 inches of rain, a possibility, pockets of heavier rain where the mountains will kind of squeeze that out. So let's take you to Levi Stadium, where the 49ers are hosting the Lions. Lions are going to have to play in some warmer weather compared to what we've had in Michigan, although Michigan's warmed up as well. Here we go, looking at temperatures heading to the 70s. Forecast looks good on Sunday here. There is no rain in sight. Looking good, Alex.
It is, and certainly excited there
to escape it. Yeah, and you look at the radar, you can see why. There's a lot of rain out here.
There really is. That's been adding up here for you. You can see there's a lot of lightning associated with some of the storms as well, pushing into Mississippi, southeastern Louisiana, and still some solid rains back towards the west as you get behind sort of the heaviest of the rains right now.
Yes, and so let's jump into Houston. You know, look, Houston, we've had our fair share of problems this morning. Happy to get a break right now. At the moment, it's not raining in town, but it's looming just off to the west, like out towards the Katy Freeway.
Yeah, and then you move east from there and track your way into Louisiana, where it's, again, been pretty soggy here at times. From Alexandria, Shreveport, another batch of some heavy rains getting ready to move in there. Baton Rouge, we again showed you earlier how tough it was. Again, slight break of some of the heaviest rain has kind of moved off towards your north and the east.
Somehow New Orleans has escaped us all.
Yeah.
It's all just kind of hovering off to the west. I mean, Baton Rouge is not a far drive from New Orleans.
Not at all.
And we've been soaked all morning.
Yeah, you don't want to make that drive right now,
No,
I'll tell you that much. How about in and around Jackson, where we've seen the heavy rains now push to the east, but Jackson is currently under a flash flood warning at this time. So a heads up there. Again, the rain has added up south of town as well towards the Brookhaven area. Also, in fact, just outside of Brookhaven, there's a flash flood warning for Copiah, Jefferson, Lincoln counties. Observed flooding taking shape there. 3 to 8 inches of rain falling in that area, and we could be looking at maybe another 2+ inches of rain to come on top of that.
This really isn't moving. I mean, these radar echoes showing us where we have the bright reds and oranges have been in this area for at least the last hour and a half.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Hence the reason for the flash flood warnings. Take it easy out there. You head just east of Jackson, flash flood warning until 3:15, and you see how this overtakes Alabama, North Georgia into eastern Tennessee, where flooding again will be likely.
Flooding is one form of severe weather, but so is damaging winds and maybe even tornadoes, and that is a concern here today, Greg.
It is.